I are in a long-term relationship. It's complicated, but allow me to share my story with you. At 25 years old, I became a mother to a beautiful boy. On the outside, I looked like I had it all together, but inside, I was a hot mess. Clueless, really, trying to embrace this intense new role without a manual. But beyond the chaos, there was something deeper, something rather unsettling. It was fear. I was terrified of making a mistake. I was afraid that I was going to fail as a parent. I was afraid of repeating generational patterns that no longer served. This fear, it didn't stay hidden. It leaked out and projected onto my relationship with my son, and it showed up as overreaction, control, and anger. One day, this little boy made a mistake. He did something that any typical toddler would do, and I snapped in anger. I picked him up, I held him close, and I began yelling at him. In that moment, our eyes locked, and what I saw in his innocent eyes stopped me cold. His eyes were full of fear. I put him down, gave him to my husband, got into the car, and I drove aimlessly for what felt like hours until the truth sank in. My fear was shaping him. And because of that, I had become the very source of pain for the person that I wanted to protect the most. That realization was messy, it was raw, and it was painful. But it was also the moment that I decided that fear, as crippling as it felt, was not going to stop me from becoming the kind of parent that I wanted to be. My journey with my children from struggle to liberation became my North Star. Not only did I do the inner work and transform my relationship with my children, but I also came to my new purpose, which is to serve others as a transformational coach, supporting them when they feel stuck. And this is what I want to share with you today. How fear, instead of being the barrier, can actually become the very soil in which your inner gifts grow from possibilities and into reality. Now, I understand that this may sound a little abstract. It's hopeful, but it is abstract. So allow me to ground this idea quite literally with something very ordinary. An avocado seed. Within this seed lies its latent potential, the blueprint to become a mighty tree that can live on for decades, providing food, shade, and shelter. That tree is its expressed potential. However, if this seed is not planted, nurtured, and given the space to grow, then that potential remains buried within it forever. The same is true for us. Within, we carry seeds of greatness. That is our latent potential. And those include our creative strengths, our capacity for visionary leadership, and our ability to be forces of love and wisdom in this world. However, when we let fear keep us buried, then our latent potential remains locked within us. What that looks like: books never written, paintings never created, businesses never started, and love never fully expressed. The cost of fear isn't just what we feel in the moment, but it's the countless opportunities and contribution that the world will never see. But here's the exciting truth. That seed, it's alive within, waiting and ready to grow. When we acknowledge the fear that we experience and we decide to act, we water that seed step by step, choice by choice. Where does this fear come from? We're all born with two innate fears: the fear of loud sounds and the fear of falling. Every other fear is learned, and if it is learned, it can be unlearned and relearned differently. Fear isn't going away on its own. It's like that warning lights on our car dashboard that will flash on and on and on. Pretend it's not there all you want, but eventually it will demand your attention. So how do we move forward with this psychological fear? By applying a simple and practical framework that I have developed and used to support many clients with. And this framework is what I call seeds. The first step in this framework is to slow down when you feel gripped by fear. A seed doesn't rush to sprout. It rests, it absorbs, and anchors its roots. In the same way, when we slow down in the presence of fear, our nervous system finds safety and the mind regains clarity, giving us space to ground before taking an action step. And when you take action after slowing down, this just propels your progress. Now, slowing down doesn't always look like meditation cushions and mountain retreats. Sometimes it's just slowing down the pace of your speech, or perhaps sipping your coffee instead of gulping it down while scrolling on social media and responding to 3 emails. In my parenting journey, I began to slow down in response to the urgency culture around me. This created presence and safety within me to become aware of the varied fears I was experiencing. The next step on the framework is empathize with the fear that you're experiencing. Imagine trying to teach a toddler patience by yelling, "Be patient!" It just doesn't work. Fear is not a single clear feeling. It shows up as a tangled up knot that feels tight in the chest, restless in the mind, and heavy in the body. It is during those moments that confidence, clarity, creativity vanish. That is why it is absolutely essential to meet ourselves in those moments with radical kindness. Kindness doesn't erase the fear, but it loosens the knots, allowing us a few moments to breathe, to think of options, and perhaps to even step into courage. Dr. David Hawkins, who is an American physician, a spiritual teacher, an author, a consciousness researcher, created a spiritual model where he mapped out human emotions and states of being along a scale. That scale goes from level 1 to 1,000. 1,000 being the highest, where he says a human thrives. According to him, he calls that enlightenment. The lower you go on the scale, the lower states represent a person when they are depleted and in a sense of survival mode, almost like inertia. He places fear at 100 on this scale. Shame and guilt are below that. Shame is at 20. Now, if we judge the fear that we experience, then it is possible for our state to drop to shame. However, if we extend empathy and compassion to the fear that we are experiencing, then it is possible for our state to rise to 200, which he calls courage. According to Dr. David Hawkins, this is the tipping point towards growth. The way we relate to our fear determines whether it drives us or drains us. After empathizing with the fear, engage with it by asking and listening to it as if it were a messenger. Ask, what story are you here to tell me? What are you trying to teach? What might you be here to protect me from? Fear always has information. And one of my clients experienced this firsthand. Mary came to me feeling completely stuck. She wanted to get a job, but the idea of applying made her nervous. And when she thought of going for an interview, that overwhelmed her so much that she avoided the process completely. We worked together and uncovered the root of the issue, which was a deep fear of failing. As we engaged with that fear, with curiosity, we came to the realization that there is no real physical threat, but rather a predicted narrative from her past. In her mind, making a mistake didn't mean I got something wrong, but instead it meant I am unworthy. And when you believe that, of course you stay small. Of course you remain hidden. It's like having a laptop in front of you, and when it freezes, instead of hitting the restart button, you decide that you're not qualified to use technology ever again. Yes, fear can be that irrational, and yet that convincing. We gently engaged with the fear some more, and Mary came to a new realization. Mistakes are part of growth. And making a mistake didn't mean anything about her sense of self-worth. After consistent practices and coaching, not only did Mary feel better, but she was able to create a breakthrough for herself. 2 months later, she landed the job of her dreams. And not because the fear disappeared, but because she didn't let it decide who she became. After engaging with the fear, then decide on a way forward. This is the moment the seed cracks open. Once you have engaged with the fear and determined that there is no real physical danger, then you come to a fork in the road. And not the kind of fork that you use with a chocolate cake, although that's a big decision too, but the kind where you reach a pivotal choice point. Growth or comfort? If you choose growth, then the question becomes, what do I do with the remaining emotions that I'm experiencing? Neuroscientist Lisa Feldman Barrett reminds us that human emotions are not fixed. They are constructed. They are raw sensations waiting for us to give them meaning. So that racing heartbeat, the sweaty palms, you can call it anxiety, or you can call it excitement. And that is the power of your choice. Oprah Winfrey could have labeled the sting of fear of rejection that she felt as evidence that she was not good enough. But instead, she chose to use that vulnerability as fuel for connection. By doing this, she transformed television and empowered millions of lives. The final step on the framework is to step forward. A seed doesn't stay buried. When it grows, it pushes upwards towards light. After you have slowed down, empathized with the fear, engaged with it, and decided on a way forward, you are now ready to take that one step forward. But before you take that step, I want you to see and experience yourself taking that step. Because the most powerful way to shift fear is to meet the version of you who has already walked through it. Yes, I'm talking about stepping forward through visualization. Visualization rewires the brain. It gifts us with something real, a new breath, a posture, a belief, a different reality. Coming back to my story, I visualized every detail of a healthy, connected relationship with my sons. And doing this gave me the courage to embody it day by day, moment by moment. And now, when I look into my son's eyes, I see love, trust, security, occasional teenage defiance, a touch of sass, and even moments of anger. But what I no longer see is the pain that once shook me to my core. When we face our fear, we move towards our expressed potential. And we create a brilliant and beautiful future, not just for ourselves, but also for the generations to come. Now, if you're willing, I would love to try something with you. Sit up nice and tall. and take a deep breath in. If it feels right for you, then I invite you to close your eyes. Allow yourself to fully arrive in this moment. There is nothing to do and nowhere to go. Simply be. Now imagine a version of you standing a few steps ahead in time. This is your future self, the version of you who faced fear and acted anyway. The version who didn't wait for confidence, perfection, or permission, but showed up, stepped up, spoke up. Notice how they hold themselves, how they breathe, how they move into rooms, how people respond to them. What is one thing your future self wants you to know? Listen, feel, let it land. Now, imagine your present self taking that one small, powerful step towards becoming the future version of yourself. Not tomorrow, not next year, but right now. Your journey begins here. Take a deep breath in and gently open your eyes, bringing back with you whatever you saw, felt, or heard. Fear isn't your enemy. It is your invitation. The question isn't whether you'll feel fear or not, but whether you will use it to contribute to the future that you are here to create. The only step left is yours. Thank you.